What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the South Baltimore Now podcast. I'm with Kevin Lynch, of course, and we are back in our, I guess it's become our new studio here, our little Locust Point studio. We're back at Bodega and Vino, which is owned by Rob and Angela, and we are sitting here today with Jon Dewar, who owns Dewar General Contracting, also a South Baltimore-based business, and we're going to get into some things, talk about the neighborhood, talk about some veterans initiatives that he's part of. Jon is he's a Marine Corps veteran, very involved with the community, very involved with a lot of nonprofits and different organizations around the area. And again, thank Rob and Angela for having us here at Bodega and Vino. And also, this is a veteran-owned business as well. So, we love to encourage everybody to support local as much as you can, but we love our veterans and want to take care of them. Anyway, Kev, man, how's your coffee today?
Oh, it's delicious. We love being here at Bodega and Vino. Great Locust Point business. Coffee's delicious. You should come check it out.
Jon, really appreciate you being here today.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for everything that you guys do and your positive influence in the neighborhood.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. So, Jon, tell us about growing up in Baltimore. I know you said you'd spent a lot of time in Canton, a lot of time in Middle River. So what was that experience like?
It was wild and wonderful. I had the opportunity to see the city as it was then and the county as well. So running around all the time, goofing off on the same streets that my grandmother and her family lived on. And the benefit of going out to the county and soaking a crab pot before I went to school on any given day and bringing a couple critters home to eat. So it was really great. It was really great for me.
And nothing stays the same forever. And I know Canton's undergone quite the renaissance. I'm sure it's a much different place than when you grew up. And even Middle River seems to have a lot of investment around the waterfront and new shopping centers. So what's it like to see those areas change so much as a native of those places?
It's painful in a good way, like all growth is. You want to keep it the same way. When I grew up, all the parents knew my name, so if I did something wrong, they could drag me back to my house. I wouldn't get a chance to defend myself, and I would immediately get a hand across the face by my mother. Now we're in a world today where there's just so many people coming and going, and it's great for the community at the same time, and like I said, in a different way. So it's positive, but it's painful to grow.
Sure, absolutely. And how did you end up in Locust Point?
I ran into a beautiful lady and she talked me into moving over here with her. And today she's my wife. I'm very lucky. Abby and I have been together for almost 7 years now. And we just live a few blocks away from here. And we've had a great opportunity to dip in here for great date nights in the past. I highly recommend grabbing some bites to eat and glasses of wine. But when I came here, I just never wanted to leave. There's so many fantastic things, but more importantly, great people volunteering for everything from Little League to Latrobe Park cleanup to street cleanups. It captivated me on a very basic level, and I just wanted to stay.
Awesome. And I think neighborhoods like Riverside and Locust Point, you're starting to see some of that aspect of what you talked about growing up in Canton, where, the families know each other's kids and see everybody everywhere and are starting to keep track of everybody a little bit. So it's good to see those community aspects growing in these areas that are always changing. You're a veteran of the Marine Corps. Talk about the decision to enlist and how that experience was.
Very fun question. Probably like a lot of Marines, I got in trouble and had to make a decision. I had the great benefit to going to high school in the city at Archbishop Curley High School. It's an all-boys school. And then I attended a college of my choice. While I was there, I played lacrosse. And at the end of the year, I got in a big fight with a football player. And there was a choice that needed to be made. Do I try to go to another school or what? And the or what was military. Every male in my family has served in the military. And as a kid, I was told a story about my father. He more or less came across a similar situation and his mother chose the military for him. He had went to Mervo, didn't complete his first year, and chose to enlist early. The Marine Corps for me was a culmination of a lot of different things from my youth, and then a lot of growth, which was painful. I was in from 98 to 2004, and it was a hair-raising experience. I thought I wasn't going to make it out like so many other young Marines. And from that point, when I left, I just decided that every day was a gift. And when you have those things taken away from you and then given back, it gives you a different perspective on life.
And I know we were discussing before we started recording, seems like you're part of a lot of different fraternities here in Baltimore, but what's the camaraderie like with the fellow Marine Corps veterans or just other veterans of the military here in Baltimore?
It's very special. A good example of this was a Locust Point Civic Association meeting where I was sitting at a table with 4 other veterans and the wife of a veteran. Everyone knows them, Mr. and Mrs. Duffy, lovely people. And Miss Duffy grew up in the military and then married Hap, who was an officer, I believe, in the Navy. And so she spent a lifetime there. And so she's earned her stripes. But those core groups of people in that little table all played intricate roles in the development and maintenance of this great community. And many of them people wouldn't even know. I see these people picking up trash on a random Tuesday when I go for a run and giving back in other bigger ways by just teaching younger generations on how to do things correctly, like Latrobe Park cleanup. And that investment in your neighborhood, in the community, and other people around you creates a value in yourself and creates a value in other people. And that type of value, I believe, gives people the platform to discuss things more openly and deeply than just throwing stones. When you don't value the people you're around, it becomes easier to take things sideways.
Very cool. And very small to more. The last meeting I was in 30 minutes ago ended with, somebody told me I need to contact Cheryl Duffy. So she's obviously an instrumental part of this community, and her and Hap obviously do so much good work at Latrobe Park. Yeah, obviously it takes a village to take care of these communities where the city's not going to come in and do everything. And one of my passions before being so busy, and if you followed the site for long enough, was like just going around and picking up trash and organizing trash cleanups. And my kids recently asked me, like, why are you always picking up trash? So I'm glad they're noticing, and hopefully that's the example we can set and keep. But there's just so many great members of the community. I know another big part of this community is the Marine Corps League right on Fort Avenue, which is a great event hall, but obviously there's a much bigger mission there as well. So talk about the Marine Corps League and why you want to be a part of that.
The Marine Corps League's basic mission is to support Marines and former Marines, FMF corpsmen. And the goal there is simple. We're just taking care of ourselves. It's another community of people, but they pull from Baltimore County and city. The detachment itself is one of many in Baltimore and Maryland as a whole. But we do all the Marine Corps things. That is, keep our heritage alive. We celebrate the Marine Corps birthday and other things throughout the course of the year. And it's great for us. It's like feeding the soul, because as you can imagine, as things develop in life and you become segmented in different groups, these different groups are different from each other in different ways, and it becomes ingrained into your DNA. And so when you're coming up as a kid and you're that 18-year-old kid and you're doing things and you learn a lot of different stuff, and you get older and you realize there's a lot of value in getting stuff done. There's a lot of value in understanding how the military works, the get up and go mentality, and how to apply those like simple learned things along the way to your life. And so being around those guys just fuels that fire and fills my heart with so much joy and enthusiasm. I'm the youngest guy there, and the guys that older than me have done really big things on their professional career, but also in the military. And it's humbling, because I've done nothing compared to some of those men in that room and women. And it sets an example for me. It really does. It sets the bar. And the Marine Corps tries to keep the bar high. They're doing a great job. We have a lot of fantastic servicemen and women throughout the entire military, and everyone has a role. The Marine Corps is a very specific role. It's a smash and grab and kill scenario for us. People ask why the Marine Corps call things a camp. Some people call it a fort, other branches and so on. It's because we're mobile. We get up, we conquer territory and move on. The Army comes in and backfills us, or another branch comes in and backfills us, sets up a command, helps move whatever the goal is forward. So we all have a role. The Marine Corps is very specific. It's got a ton of history, and I get to celebrate it all there with those guys, and I love it.
Awesome. Yeah, that's really great to hear. And I know the hall has a business side to it as well. So sell how people can host their event and do different things at the hall there.
The hall's great. It's one of a kind in the neighborhood. It has not only the hall that you can rent for, say, a birthday or a wedding or any type of special event, but they also have a museum on the second floor. And the museum is Marine Corps specific. It has everything from uniforms to weaponry to even cards and postcards that were sent from loved ones during wartime and so on. The hall itself is massive, and it's a converted building. So it's gone through renovations in time, and you can see some of those renovations if you look for them. So originally it was a firehouse, and they held horses on the first floor, and the stables, you can see tracks where the wood used to lay that's parallel to the columns that separated the horses. And it's really cool because the whole entire area has gone through so many different changes, and that building has been repurposed. And the process started many years ago. And we have a number of people who volunteer and take care of the building, but there's one specific gentleman I like to thank. His name is Jack Collin. He is the driving force to purchase the building and renovate the building, and he still oversees it today, in addition to several other Marines, notably Ernie Disney. And those gentlemen make sure that building is running for us and others, and they oversee the parties and the rentals. And I love driving by it all the time. I live on Hobart Street, which is the street that runs next to it. And you can drive by any given night, specifically close to the weekends, and it's all lit up and you can hear it. And there's such positive energy. It's great to see that. It's great to see that in today's world.
Yeah, that's very cool. And I've been in that building. It really is a cool building. So that's awesome that so many volunteers and hardworking Marines over the years have made that what it is today.
That is amazing. And that space is also available to the general public, right?
General public, anybody who'd like to rent it. Yeah, it's so big that it's great for so many different things. And you don't have to have a massive party there. You could have a meeting there. You could have a civic association meeting there. And we've done those to invite people from the community in. It's great to get inside. I highly recommend it just to check it out. And it's open on the weekends, on Saturday mornings, and there's Marines there on Wednesday mornings as well, every week. And there's a telephone number on the building as well if you'd like to come in for a special meeting and tour. And for anyone who'd like to join the Marine Corps League, you can go to our webpage and Facebook.
We certainly want to wish all the veterans a happy Veterans Day and thank them all for their service, because clearly you can see, even when they're no longer in the military, the service continues.
Always, yeah. Good community.
Now, I know you've been in the construction business for a long time and you have your company, Dewar General Contracting. So tell us about that business and what are the type of projects that you guys are involved with?
As a business, we focus on major renovations to residential and commercial spaces. We can do additions, we can do build outs, we can do underpinning, we can do office and retail, restaurant. We've done projects here in the neighborhood. Our next project in the neighborhood is at Arc Environmental. We'll be doing exterior facade enhancement, kitchen, and commercial bathrooms. We've worked for owners of companies in the neighborhood. Bob Davis is the most notable person and near and dear to my heart. Bob's since passed away, but they're at Davis Shipping, which is also on Hobart, off of Hobart Street. Bob, during COVID, wonderful gentleman, offered me a space there when everything was shut down, and it helped me get the business footing in the neighborhood close by, so we were fully operational without a hitch. Which, when everyone thinks back to COVID, there were a lot of obstacles and people were very scared, and construction was considered something that was a necessity, so we were able to work. And Bob played a big role in helping me out. Much older gentleman, insightful. He would go on to offer me more space and more support as time goes on. And we've done work in his home just up the street from here. Unfortunately, Bob passed away a few years ago and his brother took over the business, but it's doing just fine. But I miss him a lot. But those types of business traits help me as a young business operator, guide me to highest and best use, which is a big piece in real estate as a whole, but also in our time as a business. So as it relates to what we do and the people that work for me, all of my employees go through a full background check because we have to go through commercial and residential. We're around very expensive things and projects. So we have good communication with customers. We see our relationship with customers very differently than other contractors in that we work for you. We want the best thing and outcome for you. Whereas other contractors are in and out, get paid. And that's fine if you have a one-day project. But many of our projects last 3 or 4 months. And I think when you take a look at our reviews, you'll see that we've delivered on all expectations. And it's hard, right? Like, many of us don't want to go to a family gathering because we have that weird uncle and that you only have to see once or twice a year and you'd rather not. And here we are, almost strangers coming into a project, and we're with you for 3 or 4 months. And that's tough, but we manage it. The reason why we're able to deliver is because of our people. The people that I work with, the people that work with me are the best people that I can find in the industry. And sure, one guy swings a hammer like the other until the project's over and there's a problem. And so that's the difference. Currently, we're working for an Army veteran who retired and bought a home on the other side of town near Memorial Stadium. Just a month or so after he bought the home, it started to flow with water different ways. The previous owner had put in drain tiles in the basement. They skipped a couple steps and the drain tile was clogged. As a result, it was no good. So we had to come in and do these repairs. And while it seems simple many times when you watch a YouTube video, the devil is in the details. And in reality, in terms of cost, we are less expensive than several other people who came in and looked at fixing that project. We're below half of his lowest bid, but we're not because of compromising, just because we know how to do it. And we'll be in and out in 2 weeks. His lowest bid was $75,000. We're half of that. And our work comes with a warranty. We're licensed and insured. And not only are we licensed and insured in Maryland, but we're also licensed and insured in Delaware and Pennsylvania. And we're pursuing a license in North Carolina now.
Sure, a lot of that problem-solving skills from the Marine Corps can play out in the construction world.
Certainly.
What is it about South Baltimore? I know I've been in the neighborhood over 20 years, and it seemed like the people that grew up here just know how to use a hammer, know how to use tools. And you think of some of the biggest construction names you hear of on the commercials in the Baltimore area, thinking names like Len the Plumber, Amazing Heating and Air, and Philadelphia Roofing all came out of South Baltimore. What is it about this area that seems to breed a lot of people that are really good and really sharp in the construction industry?
It's a really good question. I can only guess that when back in the day, you had to develop a skill. And as you developed that skill and mastered those skills, you eventually realized you could go out on your own and tweak it in a way that represents you well. And so you could just be a plumber, but you could be you and be a plumber. And that's very appealing. It's appealing to me because I see how other people do things wrong and how I want to be and how what we want to do for customers. And I have to venture to say that that's got to be a piece of it. It's just got to be in somebody that says, hey, I can do it a little bit better. I can do it a little bit faster. I could do it a better cost, or I could do it just the way I want to do it. And that's very appealing to me. I left a development company and that industry to go into business for myself for that very reason. And while we don't perform the same work that I did when I worked for a bigger company, I understood that it could be the way I wanted to do it, could be that way. And so that was very enticing. And I think that's got to be one of the driving forces.
And I always say too, if somebody develops their skills in a trade, many times they accidentally start their own business because, hey, you're a plumber, why don't you come over and fix my sink? And then they tell someone like, shoot, do I have a side business now? So it's certainly such a great set of skills that everybody needs. Like almost everybody has a house, everybody's got a roof, everyone's got an air conditioning system. We don't live in Seattle, so everybody needs air conditioning. So yeah, just such useful skills in the world. And I know the Baltimore City Veterans Commission is something you're involved in and looking to get more involved. So tell us about that a little bit.
I'm actively pursuing a seat thanks to others. We all go places and do things, but we forget the people who helped guide us there, our parents, our coaches. I have these men and women in my mind, teachers that all have helped me get to where I am in life. And our representative, Zach Blanchard, brought it up to me, and I owe him a special thanks because the commission itself had more or less stopped around COVID like so many other things did. And it was his initiative to reactivate it. So we're pursuing that now. And the commission serves at the pleasure of the mayor and for the duration of his term. And it's a completely volunteer position. And our goal is to advocate for veterans in every spot of Baltimore here and present these issues to Baltimore City government and be that liaison. It would be an honor. I'm still in the process, but it would be an absolute honor to support my fellow veterans.
And the last name like Dewar, our first thought was the Scotch. So I know you have Scottish heritage and you were telling us about how you're involved in the St. Andrew Society. So talk about that a little bit.
So the St. Andrew Society of Baltimore represents Scottish Americans. Originally, it was developed to help Scottish people get settled here. And they played a huge role in Baltimore. And you can see it around. And it'll pop up in your mind now that I bring it up. But if you see names like Aberdeen, Dundalk, and the like, these are all Scottish names. And so the St. Andrew Society now is a social society for people of Scottish descent. And I encourage people to check us out online to learn a little bit more. But we're involved in so many things, from scholarships to parades, and we have a lot of fun. But right now I serve as the second vice, and soon I hope to be the vice president of the organization.
And what do you do with your lack of free time?
I take honeydew lists from my wife and knock them out as feverishly as possible so that I can get to football.
Football hasn't been a great outlet for too many people this year, unfortunately.
No, but I'm a hometown favorite.
Jon, it's been awesome getting to know somebody that's doing so much incredible work here in the community and helping others. And you're involved with the Baltimore City Veterans Commission, as well as your local business here, Dewar General Contracting. You are involved with nonprofit organizations, and do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Love to. When I was trying to build a resume when I was in college, I stumbled through a Petco when buying food for my mom's dog, and there was an opportunity to volunteer. And I couldn't get a job because my skill set at that time was extremely different than the average college student. So it was either the police department or some variation of that while I went to school. And I wanted to go to school and do good. And I knew I couldn't have a full-time job and do both. So I needed to build a resume so I could get that end job. I volunteered that day. Come to find out, my job and responsibility was to pet cats. And so I did this for a couple hours. And the reason why that was so important is because when cats don't have human touch, they become feral. And then the problem is they're harder to adopt because they don't seem so friendly. From that point on, I've gone on and adopted a few cats myself and a dog from Puerto Rico. But I've developed a love for these furry critters. And so we as a business have done multiple things for an organization that since has folded, known as Pitties and Purrs. Pitties and Purrs was great for a lot of different reasons. One, my cats came through Pitties and Purrs. We've donated the sales of merchandise to Pitties and Purrs, and we've given out adoption fee waivers. Now we're looking at other organizations just like them to make a bigger impact. These guys can't give back to us. When we do something nice for them, they're not going to buy us a beer after we move a couch for them or something along those lines. And so it's a good feeling. It's a great way to fill the batteries and heart. And there is another piece to this that I don't want to get lost. When you go through an experience like the military at any branch, a lot of things change in you. And when you rotate back to civilian life, you need to get on the same page with everyone else if you're going to be competitive and have a good life. And adjusting to the new world wasn't so hard for me up front, but over time, it became more complicated. People couldn't keep up. There were people who just thought 8 hours a day was enough or less than, and I felt a commitment to the company I worked for because I knew what we were doing and the outcome. And there were just little things like that. Assimilating as a process, petting those cats kept me in one spot for a long period of time and helped me work through feelings and thoughts. And again, helped me work with something I could never give back. And so that transition from the military to civilian life happened slowly and through the help of pets. And so that's why we've chosen to work with organizations that help pets. It's played a big role in my life.
It's awesome. Thank you, Jon. This is a great conversation. Really appreciate you sitting down with us today and having this conversation. And if you're a veteran out there, you know a veteran, please share this podcast, share it with your friends, neighbors, and we thank you all for tuning in.
This has been great. Thank you so much. Without people like you doing things like this in our neighborhood, our community wouldn't be this great. So thank you. Keep on going. Fair winds.
Thank you, Jon. This was an awesome conversation.